Hello, welcome to New Filmmaker LA in partnership with Movie Maker Magazine. I'm Nic Novicki, the founder and director of the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge. We're a film competition that gives opportunities for people with disabilities in front of and behind the camera, and in turn, we're changing the way the world views disabilities. We're so excited to be here today at Emerson College. We are filming today with the director and writer and producer of Archaic Intergalactic Extraterrestrials, Carl Hansen, and that is a tough name to say of that film. We are going to talk to Carl in a minute, but first let's see a clip.
Alien abductions, visitors from outer space, eco-friendly or eco-enemy. Have aliens been visiting Earth and changing the course of human history for the better? Or are they part of a bigger plot to clean the entire solar system using a universal janitorial job squad of humans? Could it be that our planet has been frequented by archaic intergalactic extraterrestrials?
Hello, Carl, and thank you so much for having the most difficult film name in the planet.
By design. It's part of the comedy, my friend.
It's so great to see you
Good
today.
to see you too. Great to have you. Great to have you. Great to have me. Thank you for having me.
Great to be here.
So much greatness.
Everything's great. I am so excited that you are here. And for those of you that haven't seen this film, I encourage you to watch it. Carl, can you give a description of the film?
Sure. So it was a parody of Ancient Aliens, obviously mockumentary being the genre that was required this year. We just tried to make sort of the most ridiculous comedy that we could think of. And it was Scott Rosendahl and Rob Romani and myself in the writer's room coming up with that stuff.
That's awesome. And so you touched on that this year, the genre had to be mockumentary for this year's Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge. And we had themes and props that had to be done. The film was done all in the course of a week, either virtually or from somebody's house using CDC guidelines. So obviously there was a lot of things that were embedded into this year's film. But beyond that, what was the inspiration for your film?
So Ancient Aliens was kind of the thing that we went in thinking, because part of the process of doing these film competitions is thinking like, what do we think other people are going to do? Like, what is sort of the traditional genre, choices? So it's like Waiting for Guffman or Best in Show, like that sort of that parody style. We're like, I don't know that from a mockumentary standpoint is something we want to do. And Rob Romani is the one who came up with the Ancient Aliens idea. And I have to say, so my son, if you watch the film, you'll see there's some like crayon drawings in it that my son had done. And when I showed him the film at the end, he's like, this is like potty humor with aliens. I'm like, that's exactly right. That's like the best description to say.
And you went to film school, so you'll end up going back to your film school someday, and you're going to say, look, my son was able to describe my work the best. It's potty humor with crayons.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was really, really smart, and there was so much comedy that went within, and a lot of amazing graphics. So your film was nominated for Best Editor. Matthew Placencia, who is a disabled editor too, which was really cool.
Yeah.
But I can't believe how much graphics you guys had. Can you talk a little bit about what you did and your thought process on the film with all of that?
So the best thing I can tell you about doing film challenges is prepare as much as you possibly can, okay? I say that. I did not prepare as much as I could for this particular one, and I had no plan for those graphics. My plan was, okay, I'm going to learn Photoshop this weekend and do some rudimentary, like little alien card, chalk drawing things. And I just decided on Saturday morning, so it was the Saturday, before we had to deliver on Sunday, does any graphics people around this weekend, anybody around? I just posted it on Facebook, and within like 5 minutes, I got a message from my friend Parson, and he's like, we got you. And I am telling you, when I saw those visual effects myself, I was blown away. Matthew and I woke up on Sunday morning, and Matthew's like, you have to look in the Dropbox. It is unbelievable. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I looked, I'm like, they had animated this whole thing completely unbeknownst, with no idea they were going to do that.
I mean, when I saw that film, I was like, this film cannot have been done in the course of a week. I mean, it really, the production value and the graphics, it's really pretty wild. And it was an ambitious project to do something in that ancient history kind of theme, because you're going to have to show what the pyramids look like, or what this looks like, or what aliens look like. So to be able to do that, I think was really impressive. And I think another thing that is really impressive about your film, and if I will, about all your films that you've made for the Film Challenge, is you have such a great inclusive team of, there's so many different people with disabilities that are on camera in your film, but also behind the camera. You're talking about Robert Romani and Scott, you know. Can you talk about that and why you think that's important?
Absolutely. So I've been in production my entire career, meaning like I'm a production professional. I've worked as a production assistant, production coordinator, line producer, like, so I've been in that space. And really it was through the Disability Film Challenge that made me realize that not only is representation in front of the camera important, I mean, we always talk about those kinds of statistics, but behind the camera, there's practically nothing compared to in front of the camera. And when I realized that, I really made an effort to try and find people that, you know, editors and other people. It turns out on Archaic Intergalactic Extraterrestrials, of course, the easiest title in history, we had a 64% cast and crew. 64% of the cast crew were disabled when I made it. And I say it was 64% then because our sound designer, after the fact, goes, oh, by the way, do you know that I have a disability as well? And I didn't know that. So we went from 64% to 71% of the casting crew after that happened. But it really is part of my mission to make sure that behind the camera is represented. Something else to note, Izzy G, who's the composer, who also happens to be blind, came up with the end credit song within a matter of an hour, maybe 45 minutes. I have no idea how he did that. And Matthew and I were just laughing so hard when it came up because it just fit perfectly into the concept of the film, and everybody's work just works together. It doesn't matter whether somebody has a disability or not. If somebody can do the work, like let's show the talent. Let's actually see people doing that.
And that's so cool. And I think it's something that I've seen with your films, which, by the way, for those of you that haven't seen Carl Hansen's work, I mean, he does great films. He's won Best Director in the Film Challenge, Best Film. He's a multiple winner, multiple nominee. But you're, as you said, a professional. You work, I believe, for Fox Sports.
Fox Sports, yeah.
And so you have that professional background in production, and you are also somebody that is in a position of power, and you have the ability to look at sets that you've had and look at your career as a whole and see all the opportunities for people with disabilities that can not only work as actors and on camera, but also as editors and production coordinators and composers. So I think that you're able to bring your personal experience is pretty awesome, and something that I've seen, and now you're almost being recruited. So when the Film Challenge is announced, I think, is it fair to say that people are reaching out to you now?
100%. I seriously, many people have done that. And what I have to say too, so this weekend I'm also making a 48-hour film project, which is another film competition. But Matthew Placentia is editing it, Izzy's composing it. And so, you know, I try and work with a lot of the same people that I've found through the Disability Film Challenge, and then sort of port over into these other projects. And something else that I really want to note too, especially when it comes to Archaic, is that you wouldn't be able to tell that anyone on the cast has a disability. There's just, it's not a part of the storyline, it's not addressed, it doesn't matter to the story, but it's true. Right? So we don't call attention to it, but that's also, I think, part of it. Not calling attention to it is really, really important.
And I think that's really the most important thing moving forward for the industry to know, that when you are including people with disabilities, you don't need the storyline to be about disability. You don't need to have a storyline about me not being able to reach a light switch. It could be about me being a jerk, or it could be me being about somebody who's got, you know, whatever.
You're casting the person, not the disability. That's what it comes down to.
Absolutely. And I think you do a great job with that within this film, where you have a lot of wheelchair users, and you wouldn't even know because you're not showing the chair. And I think for this year, was your film entirely remote?
Entirely remote. Everybody was in their own homes, and that was important just from a safety standpoint for me.
Absolutely. And so part of the restrictions this year, it had to either be remote or following CDC guidelines and SAG-AFTRA protocols of everybody being in one location. So I think having somebody of your experience, you were able to kind of put that together. But I think another thing that is really important to note about your film and what you do is you didn't need to call out everybody's disabilities, to the point where I'm like, hey, Carl, show us a little bit more now. I mean, this is a disability film. Like, let's see the disability. So, but I think that's really cool. And specifically for your film too, I think we don't even know that your lead character is in a wheelchair until the end.
Right, and that we left that in intentionally. That was really important. We left that in intentionally, where you suddenly see the green screen and what we've been shooting against, to see Scott roll out just a little. We wanted to show that just for that reason. Like, wait, it kind of makes people think a little bit.
And I think that was a really cool creative choice too, to wait and show it, and then as an audience, we also say, oh, well, that's cool that I didn't have to see it for it to work until the end. But then you're giving somebody a little takeaway to say, oh, okay, it can be done, and it's cool when you're not, hitting people in the head with it, but you're letting it sort of breathe, and you're just kind of letting that, come to life. And I think that's a really fun element. And I think also that you also have kind of potty humor throughout the film, and you don't really see that a lot. It's in the disability kind of centric film. It's not really. This almost kind of has a bit of Monty Python, in its vibe.
I love that. Thank you.
And I think it's really cool that you did that. So, what's next for you? What else are you working on?
So obviously right now, before I sat in this chair, you saw me FaceTiming with Matthew because he's editing our 48-hour film project, which we still don't have a title for, and it's due tonight at 7 p.m.
Well, can I say one thing?
Absolutely.
When you're coming up with your next title, let's make it a little shorter, because when you're being interviewed, if you have the ability to be in New Filmmaker LA and they get to interview you. I mean, I was studying how to pronounce the title of your film for about 6 hours in front of the mirror. I looked crazy. My wife's like, what are you doing? I was like, don't worry. I'm trying to be professional.
It's a good actor exercise for like getting your warm-ups done, your vocal warm-ups. But no, so we're doing this 48-hour film project. Scott Rosendahl and I are creative partners in a couple of projects, and we've started to write a feature film that hopefully we can get some traction on a little bit later this year. Really trying to go out with various projects that I've had for a while. I developed Checkmate, which was the best film-winning film in the Disability Film Challenge in 2018, right? We developed that into a half-hour pilot and trying to get that out there as a half-hour comedy. So like you were saying with the potty humor, like comedy doesn't always, you don't see people with disabilities doing comedy. I mean, case in point, like when it comes to some of these films and you don't see it, now I feel like people are getting a little bit more open when it comes to something like that. But I do have to say, when Rob Romani had come up with the Ancient Aliens idea, and we were talking about it, and there was a lot of potty humor. We talked a lot about it. Like, do we want to do this? Do we want to go down that path? And finally, I was like, this is really funny. We just got to do it.
That's awesome. So, what does it feel like to be a part of New Filmmaker LA, the screening process, and also just what does the film challenge mean to you? Like, throughout, you've made films every year. Can you talk about that process, why you keep coming back, why you think it's important?
Sure, yeah. So your first question about New Filmmakers LA has been an amazing experience. I mean, New Filmmakers LA loves filmmakers, and I feel so taken care of as a filmmaker and as a creator within New Filmmakers. And the panels that we had this past week for this particular festival, it was incredible access with real industry professionals that you don't ordinarily get that access to. So that's been really amazing. Now, when it comes to like the film challenge itself and why I keep coming back to it, I'm a creator at heart. I'm a filmmaker at heart. I know I said I worked at Fox Sports, but that's my job. That's what I do for to put food on the table, but it's not necessarily my creative outlet as an artist. So I really use the Disability Film Challenge as part of that expression for me personally, but also being a disability advocate, which really is a direct result of getting involved with the Disability Film Challenge. Doing that constantly so that it isn't just the Disability Film Challenge, it's again like the 48 or some other project that now I do, I port in the experience that I've had as part of the Disability Film Challenge, which for me has been truly life-changing. And the people I've met, it's like lifetime collaborators that I want to work with them again. Scott Rosenthal's in this film. Like, he's the lead in the film that will be finished tonight. So,
and that's what this was all about. When I created this 9 years ago, I was like, look, let's give people opportunities to play roles that they normally wouldn't play, to write, to produce, and whether that be potty humor, or whether that be another project or dealing with some of the other themes that you've had over the years. But the most important thing to me is seeing these collaborations where you guys are creating things and continuing to produce beyond the film challenge, but luckily enough, coming back home to the family,
I love the Disability Film Challenge. I mean, I truly love it. It's really, when I find out when it is, and I think I even try and get some information out of you throughout the year going, when are you going to do it this year? And you're very good, by the way. You're like, I can't tell you yet. I'm like, come on, man. Like, I'm doing it. You're like, I can't tell you yet. I'm like, okay, I'll wait patiently.
Well, Carl, it's been such a pleasure to talk to you, to be able to work with you, and I can't thank you enough. Can you give some plugs about where people could find you and your work, social handles, website?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can see all of the Film Challenge films that we've made, be it in 48 or the Disability Film Challenge, at culturaldetritus.com. So if you see it on the hat here, Cultural Detritus, also very easy to pronounce. So I keep everything in that realm. But also F. Carl Hansen is a link to my IMDb, and my contact info's on there, so you can get in touch with me that way, or on Instagram, fhansen1.
Well, Carl, thanks so much, and we can't wait to continue to see the amazing films you do. And also, I'm just excited to be here with you, and it's awesome to be in person with you after the last couple of years of a lot of virtual.
Absolutely.
things, so.
No, thank you so much for having me. Thanks so much.